Welcome in, everybody. This is the 2025 Boys State Basketball Preview Show here on IdahoSports.com. We're excited. We've got all the guys in the green room just waiting to come on. I am Paul Kingsbury, your host tonight. Brandon Vaney had something much better to do, and so he is off doing that. And so you're going to have me for everyone tonight, and you're going to meet all the broadcasters for all 6 classifications that will be broadcasting the games on IdahoSports.com. We're going to start off with the 6A classification. And we're going to bring our guys in one at a time, and they're going to kind of a little introduction, little bio, so you know who's going to be calling your games. First up, Lucas Gebhardt. Lucas, welcome in, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be back on 6A this year. This is going to be 3 years in a row now. So I've seen a lot of these teams now. I've seen some of these teams grow up. I've seen some of these players, like Nash Humphreys from Madison, seen him ever since he was a sophomore. Now he's going to be a senior playing in his third consecutive state tournament that I'll be watching. So it's been fun to watch these kids kind of grow throughout the years, and excited to be doing it once again.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, just what you do for a day job, how long you've been.
Yeah, so I've been doing games for Idaho Sports for about 10 years now, which is kind of crazy. I started back when I was in college. I was a freshman at Idaho State, started doing color, started doing camera, kind of worked my way into more of a play-by-play role. And once I graduated from Idaho State, I moved out to Boise. I'm now an associate director of sales for Visit Boise. So I work to bring sports tournaments and conventions and things like that to the Boise area that kind of helps improve economic impact and things like that. So that's my day-to-day job. And this is kind of morphed into kind of a side thing that I do, which is awesome. It keeps us in touch with some of the ADs and stuff around town, which is good for this and the day job, right? So, but it's fun. My day is filled with sports from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, so I can't complain about too much.
And we have a lot of stories from the last 10 years that we won't go into. But let's meet your broadcast partner, Ryan Luke. Ryan, welcome in. You're going to another job tonight, right?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. All good, yeah. So I've been broadcasting, 3 years now that I been doing this? But I broadcasted prior to that. I was in Utah. I drive to Salt Lake City and broadcast down there. But I also do some of the College of Idaho sports stuff. I'll do some there. That being said, I kind of dabble in recruiting, try to get my network out there and see the who's who, and I like to keep my eyes on kids. My day job, I'm a rep for an automotive manufacturer, so I deal with cars and dealerships all day. That's what I do.
Do you deal with recruiting in high schools? Because that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I try to help kids get spotted. There are a couple of kids, and I'm not going to name names, but was able to get them some stars on a couple of boards, and since then they were able to get recruited, and they're playing college football as we speak.
Right on. Very cool. Well, guys, this is the 6A. Let's move some guys around. There you go. So this is the 6A broadcast team. We'll be at the Ford Idaho Center this weekend. Guys, let's take a look at that bracket you're going to be calling. So here we've got the 6A Boys State Tournament, and of course those semifinals and loser-out games swap on Friday. And you guys will follow the semi-final teams, and the other guys will come to the Idaho Center for their loser-out games. We've got number 3 versus number 6 right off the bat. Madison Boise, then 2 versus 7 Lake City Thunder Ridge, 1 versus 8 Owyhee Bora, number 4 Timberline versus number 5 Meridian. Let's start off with you, Ryan. Ryan, what kind of stands out to you on this bracket?
Well, how heavy the SIC is represented there. I mean, you have a ton of teams from the Boise area, and they all know each other really, really well. I think the thing that really stands out about the SIC is the fact that Capital is not on that list. Right. And Capital lost early on. They were the number 2 seed going into the SIC tournament, and just for whatever reason got bumped and couldn't play their way back into it and ended up out. The flip side, the inverse of that, is that Boise High somehow got hot, rode a hot hand, took Owyhee basically to the wire in the SIC championship game, snuck in, and all of those wins that they had to get them there actually bumped them up to the number 6 seed. And their reward for getting number 6, well, they're going to play Madison in the first round.
Lucas, what about you? What are you looking at on this bracket?
Yeah, I mean, kind of what Ryan was talking about is who's not in the bracket. It's the first thing that stands out to me. I kind of touched on Capital there, but Centennial is another team that I thought had a really nice year. This bracket is actually missing the top 2 scoring offenses in all of 6A, and that's Capital and Centennial. So the best offensive team in the bracket is not the best offensive team across the classification, which you don't really see every day. But Bora entered the district tournament as an 11 seed in the district tournament. So they were the 11th seed out of 12 teams out of the SIC, and they end up making it to the state tournament. Timberline, a team that had to win a play-in game to get there. Meridian had to fight its way into the state tournament. So there's a lot of teams in this bracket that kind of had their seasons on the line the last few days and into the last week, kind of fighting through that district tournament. Boise's a team that I like a lot coming into this tournament. I think they're one of the nice young teams coming in with that 6th seed. They've taken Owyhee. They've kind of been one of the only teams in Idaho that's really given Owyhee any sort of trouble this year. So Boise's a team that I actually really like on that 6th line. And then, coming and then you look at North and East Idaho, and it was pretty much chalk. The team that we expected out of the North, Lake City, they end up making it. Post Falls did not make it. That was a top 5 team out of the North as well, lost to that playing game. And then Thunder Ridge, first time that they've ever made a state tournament. So it's going to be fun to watch them too.
Yeah, Ryan, one thing that Ryan Skaggs, our North Idaho broadcast, we'll hear from him in the 4As. He said during the season, he thought Lake City might be the only team that has a chance to beat Owyhee. Have you, either one of you, had a chance to see Lake City play this year?
Yeah, so we had Lake City last year, and they have, Lake City brings something interesting, and we talk about this, all the time. We don't know what North Idaho has. I mean, it's the reality. Like, they could be really good. They could not. But I do know what I saw last year, and they have some returning players, but they're led by the senior Reese Strawn. And Reese had a phenomenal tournament. He's a shooter. He's a playmaker. He really creates a lot. He is the engine of that Lake City team. Now, is he the leading scorer? Can be. Any given night, he could be the leading scorer, but he's a distribution man, and he really ignites that offense. The thing that I like about Lake City is they have youth. They have he's a sophomore now. He's 6'9". He plays travel club AAU ball with a bunch of guys out of Spokane, and they do a really good job in terms of trying to get it there. And hold on, I'm getting the name. Wait for it.
Jordan Carlson.
Carlson.
He's like 6'10". He's got a nice mid-range game.
Yeah. And so they have a lot of pieces that, and this is why they could give Owyhee fits. Owyhee doesn't match up really well with them. So if Owyee's going to push them, say those two teams eventually meet in the final, Owyee's going to have to take it to Lake City versus trying to make Lake City adjust to them versus having them adjust to Lake City. They just size and athleticism. It's going to be tough for Owyhee to match up. That being said, Owyhee has so many different scoring options. Bowden Howell is a phenomenal scorer. He's going to play at the next level. Housevite does a really good job igniting that offense. So they can ignite the offense from a lot of different places. Lake City's going to have to adjust to them, and that's the only way. If Lake City's going to make the other team adjust to them, then that's what they're going to have a chance. But like I said, they just don't match up really well in terms of size.
So with that, all SIC lower half of the bracket is pretty much Owyee's bottom half of the bracket, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I'd say they're definitely a heavy favorite for sure, especially since they've seen those teams all year. Bora, we already kind of touched on them, but Timberline Meridian, I think, will be a very interesting game on Thursday, and they end up getting Timberline. Timberline's a pretty pesky defensive team, so that could be an interesting matchup if Owyhee has kind of an off shooting night or something. I could see maybe Timberline maybe giving Owyhee some problems in the semifinals, but yeah, the path definitely looks pretty good for Owyhee to get to the championship there at the bottom half.
Yeah, that top half's pretty stacked. I mean, you've got Madison, Lake City, Thunder Ridge. I mean, they're number 7, but they came out number 2 in their conference over there. I mean, it was a very tough conference. First time there, very cool for the Titans. And again, your reward for that is here's Lake City. But I don't think yes, they're number 7, but I think they're a better team than a number 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that is there's not as many. Their schedule wasn't quite as competitive as some of the Boise schools. They did end up playing 7 schools or 7 teams that have made the state tournament, but they're 1-6 in those games. So that's the issue. They have played Timberline. They have played Bora. They have a win against Boise. They played Meridian, and then obviously they played Madison. So really the only team out of the top half of the bracket that they've really played is Madison, and they only have one win out of teams from the state for that made the state tournament, and that's Boise. And they have some other, they played a lot of 5A schools too, which I don't think helped their max prep rankings. But their record against 6A schools is 8-7. So they've been okay against 6A, but they are one of those schools that they just haven't been to this stage yet. It's the first time they've ever made a state tournament. So that's the thing that worries me a little bit more about Thunder Ridge than anything else. It's just pretty much every one of these teams, except for them and Bora, have been to this stage in some recent years.
So Ryan, which game are you looking forward to seeing the most on day one?
Well, if we're talking about, I mean, I got to get a shout out to Boise. I mean, they've gotten hot at the right time. And when I say hot, like they won a bunch of games in the SIC, like I said, in the conference tournament to get to where they are. I don't know. They're pesky. They're fundamentally good. I think Lake City, Thunder Ridge, I think Lake City is going to roll. I think Owyhee is going to roll versus Bora, and I think Timberline and Meridian is probably your best first round matchup. But I'd say the sneaky one's going to be Boise, Madison. If Boise can play like they have been playing, giving them fits, they have a couple of guys that are playing pretty well and they're shooting the ball well. Defensively, they play good sound defense. They just have to shoot well. If Boise shoots well, they'll give Madison a game. Outside of that, I'd say Timberline Meridian is going to be your best bet. Alex Coe, shoot the lights out. He's a phenomenal player for Timberline. Showed it last year. Took him into the state championship game. So, sorry, I gave you two.
That's all right. That's all right. Lucas, what about you? What do you got?
Yeah, I really like that Madison-Boise matchup at the top of the bracket. Ryan kind of touched on it already, but I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I really like Boise. Boise's a kind of a little bit of a younger roster. I really think they are kind of an up-and-coming school in the SIC. They're hot right now. They played Owyhee close in the district championship game. They have a guy, Michael Nance, he's a 6'7" wing. He's one of the best shot blockers in the history of the SIC. They also have Eli Rich, who's placed third in the 100-meter dash last year. He's a wide receiver on their football team too. And he's one of you talk to their coaching staff and they say that he's one of the best defenders that they've ever seen. So there's your matchup on Madison's Nash Humphreys there. They'll probably put Rich on him if Nance can kind of control the low post. They also have another freshman. They have a 6'8" freshman, Harrison Ball, too, that can really stretch the floor, too. So I really like the balance that Boise has. And then anytime you get a team in that noon time slot, for whatever reason in this bracket, we just see upsets in that time slot all the time. 2 years ago, Lake City lost in that time slot when they were the number 1 seed to Centennial. Owyhee has lost in that time slot. That was the 2023 tournament, lost to Meridian. So that time slot can be a little bit tricky, that noon tip-off. The body clocks are a little bit off. So that's the matchup that I'm most excited to see. And I think Boise can be a really pesky team. I think they can win that game.
Well, let's take a look at some comments real quick, guys. And if you're watching right now, go ahead and like, okay, because we can see how many people are out there, and the like to viewer ratio is, I mean, it's worse than Scott Burton's free throw percentage. That's pretty bad. So hit that like button real quick. Hit it, okay? So first up, Sam. What's up, Sam? Could Madison be on upset watch against the Boise team? You just talked all about that one.
Yeah.
Jet, no, we haven't. Just throwing that in there. Ryan throwing in comments from the green room. Lake Carlson and Lake City can get out and run. Strawberry Miller and company can stretch the floor and transition. You're going to have your own segment, Ryan. Your own.
Yeah, listen. Lake City's a good team. They're the top ranked team out of the Spokane area on Max Preps. They played the top team, the number 1 team out of Oregon. So they're battle tested. They played Owyhee before, so they've seen the top team in the bracket. They're certainly a dangerous team, and they got some weapons for sure.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of weapons,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to go to player to watch.
Yes, let's do that. I love where your head is.
Okay, Michael Dance of Boise, Dylan Lukengay of Bora, Reese Strawn of Lake City, talked about him. Nash Humphreys of Madison, talked about him. TJ Sainer of Meridian, Bowden Howell of Owyhee, Deegan Branson, Thunder Ridge, Alex Coe of Timberline. Guys, go.
It's It's funny. I mentioned 4 of those guys on there. I honestly, I think Reese Strawn, I mean, he really stood out to me last year when he led the team and they came back into the consolation bracket. And I think they ended up winning that, and they did a phenomenal job. And while I don't know if Lake City's my pick, I'll give you my pick after this. They are fun to watch, and to me, it's kind of an enigma. Again, being North Idaho, we just don't know what you guys have up there. If I were to pick one from here, it's Alex Coe, because if he gets hot, he can just drop bombs from anywhere. He creates his own shot really well. He's a step back jump shooter. He plays off of picks really well. He can light up a scoreboard if needs be.
Now I'm gonna throw something in here. They're playing at the Ford Idaho Center. I want you guys to watch for this. So, and I mention this every time I'm doing a game there. They've got that extended 3-point line on that court. And girls basketball, boys basketball, doesn't matter. Everything gets stretched out. That extra, 8-10 inches behind the high school line and that extra line. And so offenses get spread out, and 3-point shots are that's an extra foot about, and that throws off shots. And so those guys that are dropping bombs in the regular season, sometimes it takes them a game or at least a half to kind of get that range back, as they shoot and they airball or hit the front of the rim because they're just lining up behind that line. So keep an eye on that. I noticed it in the 6A girls tournament 2 weeks ago. It's something that always happens.
Yeah, that's why defense matters so much in this tournament. I think this is a defensive tournament. I mentioned at the top that the top 2 scoring offenses in this classification aren't in this tournament. So I really do think that defense is going to go a really long ways. It's and Timberland's got the best defense. Owyee's got a really good defense too. Owyhee on paper is clearly the best team in this bracket. But to go to your point, especially Thursday, defense is going to matter for sure.
All right, guys, let's take a look again at players to watch. Who are you most excited to see, Lucas?
I'm going to take Bowden Howell from Owyhee. He's going to be playing at Rice when he's done playing at Owyhee. Kind of the next Division I. I mean, there's a couple Division I athletes playing for Owyhee right now. It's Howell and Logan Housefite, who's got 3 D1 offers right now. But Howell's on his way to Rice. He's probably the best playmaker in the state. He's a mismatch nightmare that his head coach, Andy Harrington, calls him. So they have a lot of different ways that they can use him too. And he's kind of the straw that stirs that offense. So I think he's going to be a real exciting player to watch. This is a Owyhee team. Listen, I get it. They're good. They've won. They might win again. But this is really something special that we're seeing with this Owyhee team. There's some really, really good basketball players on this team. They have 6 players that are going to be playing at the next level. You can only start 5. So that means their first guy off the bench is a college basketball player. Right. That's something you don't see every day in Idaho high school basketball.
Well, they were very close to be playing for a three-peat, right? They won in 2002 and then 24, 20, and this year they're favored. So, yeah, they're a good team. Let's go, Ryan. Who you most looking forward to seeing?
Well, I'll go again. Like I said, I liked Reese Strawn. I like to see him, the engine of that team. And then I went with Alex Coe as well. Again, step back jump shooter, pure shooter. You talk about guys who can shoot the ball very pure. Bowden Howell is a great shooter as well. But I'm trying to think a little bit outside of the box. I have not seen Deegan Branson, so I can't comment on that. But from the Valley, Alex Coe, and then my statewide pick would be Reese Strawn.
All right. Well, there you go. There is the 6A preview. Guys, do you have any more to wrap this up? Any more thoughts that I didn't give you a chance to say?
Our picks.
Okay, I'm not going to strong arm you guys into doing picks you don't want to make. But if you want to do picks, let's do it.
I don't mind. I'll shoot for it. Yeah.
All right, Lucas, go ahead. Who's your pick to championship game in the winter?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I think Owyee's path to the championship. I mean, they've seen all those teams before. So I'm going to go ahead and slot them into the championship. And then I think this is what Ryan's probably going to pick too, but I do like Lake City as well. Lake City's a pretty good team. I like their matchup against Thunder Ridge in that first matchup. And then, like I said, I think Madison could have some trouble with Boise. And Boise's hot right now. And if they do play Boise, I do like Lake City to win that game against Boise. But man, if we get a Madison Lake City semifinal, that's going to be a heck of a game too. So
It is. It's going to be a great semifinal.
Yeah, that would be a heck of a semifinal. So, but I like Lake City, Owyhee, and then I just don't see how you can't pick Owyhee to win this thing. If they play the top at their top, they play their best game. There's no reason they shouldn't win this tournament.
Yeah, I'll almost echo the exact same thing. Listen, Owyhee has a path. We've seen them. They've done it before. They're phenomenal. They're very good basketball team. Here's the thing, and here's the only reason I'm going to pick Boise over Madison in the first round. Boise has some size and length. Tallest guy on Madison, 6'4". That's it. And Boise has a couple of towers that they run really well that are athletic and can move and can block shots. I think that's going to give them some trouble. That said, even if we see a Madison Lake City round 2 thing, I still think Lake City has them. I'm going to go Owyhee Lake City, and in the end, I think Owyhee is just too much to handle. My pick's Owyhee.
All right.
Yeah. They already played each other earlier in this year, and Owyhee won by 20. So Lake City's good, but that's how good Owyhee is. Owyhee is, arguably one of the best teams in the region, not just the state.
Truth.
Well, and they during the season, I mean, they schedule those tournaments that are out of state to get better. So that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, they've played some of the best teams in the country. They haven't won those games, but they played some top 50 teams in the country this year.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the 6A Boys State Tournament Preview Show. Ryan, Lucas Gebhardt are going to be on the call at the Ford Idaho Center. Thanks, guys. We'll take a break, and we will be back with the 5A Tournament Preview with Scott Burton right after this.
At Valleywide Cooperative, we're here when you need us. For 100 years, we have been here to help you with food, fuel, and good old-fashioned advice. And for us, serving is more than a job, it's a way of life, which is why we pour so much into the communities around us. We've employed hundreds of your neighbors. We take pride in that, and in giving back millions in sponsorships, grants, donations, and scholarships. It's our way of saying thanks. We're Valleywide, and yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're here for you.
All right, welcome into the 5A Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show here on IdahoSports.com. We know you're out there watching. Give us, give it a like, give us a follow, give it a share, whatever medium you're on, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Give it a like. Give it a like. When I asked for it last time, we only got 6. Come on, not good enough. So welcome into the 5A. We just got done with the 6A, and this one's going to be fun. We've got Scott Burton coming on. His broadcast partner is going to be Clay Hatfield. He had other obligations tonight. He's a janitor down at Y, so that's where he's at. So,
yeah, you barely caught me because I was out practicing free throws, trying to up that percentage.
I think it's, but when you were younger, you were quite the athlete.
I played.
Why don't you give a bio of who you are, how long you've been with us?
Okay. I'm the right now I am the athletic director at Jerome High School, and also broadcasting for you, and been doing that for 12, 13 years, somewhere in there. Even wrote you a very nice letter addressed to Mr. Kingsbury.
I thought you weren't coming on.
Who said that?
I don't know.
You've been misinformed, my friend.
Scott, keep going. Sorry, we interrupted you. My bad.
Yeah. Do you even care what I'm going to say now?
Not really. Clay, why don't you? No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so been doing that forever. Was actually got started as a news anchor and had a sports show back in the 90s. And that's kind of how I got into broadcast media, and luckily was coaching basketball when I heard my very first Idaho sports game and said, I want to do that. And so I wrote you a nice letter and called you Mr. Kingsbury.
You did, and I kept it. I've got it.
I know. And every year on kind of the work anniversary, if you will, you tend to send that to me just to remind me that I once did call you one time, Mr. Kingsbury.
Now, one thing that you left out of your bio, Scott, was you were Mr. June at Jerome High School.
Oh, my gosh.
They had a calendar, I believe, back at Jerome, and I think you were June. I'm not sure if this is you or Chachi.
Yeah, Hence the nickname. Yeah. I thought I destroyed every one of those copies.
Oh no! In fact, I've actually had this printed and framed. Actually, and
my gosh!
Like 4 years ago, I had it in the background of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You did. We did a show, and you had it just kind of just hanging out in the back.
Oh, the comments lighting up. The ladies want to see it again. Okay, there you go, ladies. There you go, ladies. So that's Scott Burke. Clay is going to be broadcasting the 5A tournament. He is not the eye candy of the duo. Big difference. Handsome man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Clay. What do you do, and how long you been with us?
I teach at Ridgeview High School. I teach Spanish. I've been there for my 3rd year now, but my 22nd year in education. And I've been with Idaho Sports, I think, for maybe 1 year more than Scott. Got involved with our Paul and I's mutual love of soccer is how I got involved.
Right. And mutual,
someone to do it.
I didn't have a clue. Yeah.
It didn't show. It didn't show at all. You were professional.
I probably said 1-0, which is, should have been 0, right? I learned that.
See, but you're learning, and that's the important thing.
I am learning. The one thing I like about working with Clay, if there's any kind of Spanish heritage name, he teaches Spanish. He's fluent, and so he rolls the R's, Rodriguez, and he makes sure they're all pronounced correctly. Great.
Yeah, just to show off a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I can't do that. I can't. I have to read all the names at graduation, and I cannot do that. I sound like I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. So
you don't have any. It's Jerome. There's not like there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there can't be that many.
A couple.
Okay.
Yeah, we're plentiful. And
so let's take a look at the bracket. What do you say?
Please.
Let's do it.
Here's the bracket. That is not the bracket. Let's take a look at your bracket.
There we go.
So
that looks familiar.
At Rocky Mountain, then you're going to cross Fort Idaho Center on Friday afternoon. We got Hillcrest, Columbia, 3-6, 2-7, Lewiston, and Twin Falls. Number 1, Preston versus Jerome, 8, Fort Middleton, and 5, Bonneville. What's something that stands out to you about this bracket? Just jumps out at you.
Who's going to beat Preston? It's their tournament to lose. I think there's some great matchups along the way, but who's going to take down Preston is the only thing I see on that bracket.
So you think this is like 6A where it's a Owyhee's championship, everybody's playing for second?
Yes. I'm not saying that they can't do it because 2 weeks ago at the girls' state tournament, we thought Middleton was going to walk away with it all, and Pocatello upset them. So anything can happen, and as we get to breaking these teams down, you'll find kind of where maybe that could happen. But I mean, realistically, it is Preston's to lose, and everybody's going to agree with you. Not saying that somebody can't beat them, but that's where we're at.
Well, Clay, do you agree with him?
I'm going out on a limb. I think Middleton could play upset. I like that. If the matchups, if Preston gets past Jerome, if Middleton can beat Bonneville, that semifinal game, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think Middleton might be able to pull off the upset there.
Well, I don't know. I think they could. Take a look at this Preston team for starters. I mean, this is a team that is 22-1. Their only loss was a 1-point overtime loss to Timberline, and of their 21 wins, only 2 of them were in the single digits. I mean, this is a team that is dominated. However, if you're going to look at Preston, the one thing that might be a weakness is they don't play many dudes. They play about 5.5 guys, and that's it. And so when they get in foul trouble or somebody gets injured or whatever, it could be a problem.
How do they get that half guy in there? I'm just curious.
It's just the left side that goes in because he's left-handed.
He's left-handed, of course.
Short really counts as half. Is that what
exactly. Yes. Yeah. 4 feet tall. So
Scott,
that's
Gary's also chiming in from the green room. And he spelled Bayo right, which concerns me just a little bit. He's that big of a.
So,
guys, let's talk about these teams. Let's talk about it. We talked about a couple already. But let's go to that first matchup. Hillcrest.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about that matchup first. I mean, Hillcrest coming out number one over there, very good team. Obviously, last year, very good team, and Columbia making an appearance at state again. So, what do you think about these matchups, guys? Let's go top to bottom.
Well, first of all, this is a matchup of experience versus youth. Hillcrest. I really like this Hillcrest team. They're they like to push. They're up tempo. Titan Larson is their go-to guy, third-year starter. He's already played in 2 state championship games already, and so this is a guy that can really get the job done. I mean, he set a school record this year with 44 points in a game, and that included 11 threes, and so they've got some players. And if you remember their football team and quarterback Tyson Sweetwood, he is big and athletic and fast, and he is going to cause some problems. And he's a monster on the glass. I mean, he had a 21 rebound game this season. And this is a really good Hillcrest team because they've been there before. But their formula remains the same, even under, first-year head coach Matt Barber with Hillcrest. It's like they push, they look to get the ball in the paint. And if you can score in the paint, then you have a lot of success at a state tournament. Columbia, on the other hand, they're long and athletic. They have no true post, so I'm interested to see how they're going to handle the paint there. But they're young. They start three sophomores and a freshman. And Blake Hansen's a really good player for them, averaging about 18 points and 11 boards a game. But it's the youth versus the experience for me.
And it's the size too.
The size too, absolutely.
Problem, yeah. But if Columbia has something going for them, they're coming in hot. They're coming in high. I mean, they weren't expected to be. I think they were picked 5th in the conference this year, and upset Bishop Kelly to make it to the tournament. So they're coming in playing solid basketball. And with a team like that, you never know. I mean, if they show up and everything's right, they could pull off this upset.
It's all about peaking at the right time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And you'll see a couple of teams that are in this tournament that nobody expected to be there. And
okay, what about second game? 2 o'clock start. Lewiston Twin Falls. What do you got?
Go ahead, Clay. You can start on this one.
Well, this is one of those teams that surprised me, Lewiston. I know they have some experience, but I was surprised that they had the season that they had. And this for me could be one of my upset matches. Lewiston comes in. This is the first time at state in almost a decade. Twin Falls has some experience. They've been there. They know how to play the game. They know what state's about. This could be an interesting matchup for me.
I agree 100%. I think, Lewiston coming in with a record of 20-4, they've got some really good players. I mean, Royce Fisher is their main guy. They've got the Hepburn kid and the Bogart kid. I mean, they're all really good, but one of the things that you always have to worry about is their strength of schedule, and that has been everybody I've talked to has brought that up with Lewiston. Now, maybe that's not their fault, but you just play who you got. Maybe there's some validity to that. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. Meanwhile, Twin Falls, that's a team that's dangerous. And I think they are better than a 7. And this is a team that can beat anyone just because they've got a lot of guys that can score. I mean, they've got a big in Trey Billings who's 6'5" and averages 15 a game. Ty Hess, he's another one. He can score from anywhere. And then Riker Rex, they've got 3 guys that average double figures. Who do you stop? They're a tough matchup. And if they're on, they are a team that can upset anybody. So I'm really interested in this game as well.
And they talked about it. The guys talked about it at the 6A level. It's hard to gauge these North Idaho teams based on what Scott just talked about, their schedule. It's hard to look at and see, those 20 wins. Who were they against? And that always makes it tricky. But you have Twin Falls. They've been at this tournament. They know what it is. And you mentioned Ty Hess. Ty Hess, if he's going to carry this team, and if he's on, that could be a big upset here in that first opening round.
Absolutely right. Let's go to game 3, guys. And Preston and Jerome. And Jerome, Scott, I understand you're the athletic director there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't want to piss anybody off.
I do that on the daily, however.
So we talked about Preston already a lot, but let's just go over these 2 teams real quick.
Okay. Yeah. So I've already talked about Preston, how strong they are. It is their tournament to lose. They come in the number one seed, the overwhelming number one seed. And, and that's no disrespect to some of these other teams that are really, really good. But, when you have the LA Lakers in your bracket, it's a tough task, right? Meanwhile, Jerome, on the other hand, this was a team that, you want to talk, like you said, Clay, about coming in hot. This is a team that's not supposed to be there. This is a team that entered the district tournament as the number 4 seed and then got, by Mountain Home, got clobbered by Twin. And then they have to go on the road and beat Burley, a team that beat them twice during the regular season. And then they have to go on the road to the number 2 seed Minico and beat them in overtime. And Minico had beaten them twice in the regular season. So this is a team that is coming into their own. They are just the best group of kids you could ask for. They don't have any stars. They've got one guy that averages 11 points. That's AJ Johnson, and he's their go-to offensive guy. But they're the academic state champs. They're good kids, and they have overcome a ton to get there. They lost Trey Burke, their number 1 player, 3rd game of the season. Have been dealing with that. One of their other top kids didn't come out, and so they just had to figure out a way to do it. And when you got Coach Messick on your bench, he is, in my opinion, the best basketball coach in the state of Idaho. You're always going to have a chance.
I've been around for 18 years. He knows how this game's played.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. So this is a team that, why not us, right?
Yeah.
That's been their mantra all year. So it's going to be a tough one for them. I mean, let's be real, but you're going to get a heck of an effort from them. I'll tell you that.
And I know that looking at the that 4-5 matchup, Middleton Bonneville, they're hoping that Jerome can give Preston a game and wear those 5 guys out for that second round matchup. And so if you're Middleton or Bonneville looking at that game, you're hoping Jerome can really put up a fight and make Preston work.
Yeah, and I think if there's anything, a chink in the armor, it's the depth, But Preston, I mean, they have got some studs. I mean, Jack Schumann, their point guard, an awesome defender. I mean, he's kind of the tone setter of that group. Reggie Larson, looks to score every time he touches the ball, and he can do it. And then, Cruz Harris, physical post at 6'4". That's going to cause some problems because Jerome doesn't have size. So they're going to have to be kind of post defense by committee, but then you better rebound the basketball. So
right.
Preston's a tough matchup.
Yeah, and I think Preston's going to come in playing mad too. They've missed the last couple of years of state because their conference only gets that one bid, and it's went to Pocatello. And so I think Preston has something to prove. Not only that they're the number 1 team, but they are the team in this bracket.
Yep, that's a very fortunate conference. I mean, almost every year you guys. Well, I remember some years in the top 5, all 3 of the teams were in the top 5, and only one comes out. So Dan Hubbard says, "I'll be interested to see a possible Preston Middleton matchup," which absolutely could happen. So, all right, guys, let's look at our players to watch.
You want to go to that final game?
Yeah, you want to look at the last one just for fun?
We did.
No, we guys
didn't.
I did.
Middleton Bonneville.
We jumped straight to it. Talk to it without me introducing it, but talk about it anyway.
Yeah, we would like to.
Yes. What, do you want to go first, Clay? Go ahead.
Somewhere he spiked my mountain.
I'm excited of the first games of day one. This is the one I'm looking most forward to. I think this is going to be a fantastic ball game. Middleton is a solid team. They don't get the fanfare that Preston has, but I think they can hang with Preston if that's the matchup that we see. And Bonneville's one of those teams. Don't go to sleep on them. They could pop up there and give Middleton a fight.
Yeah, this Middleton team is kind of one people are looking at as maybe somebody that could push Preston, or at least not keep it close or whatever. But this is a team that is really playing good basketball. They lost 5 of their first 6 games to start the year, and then went 16-2 afterwards. And this is a team with some size. And anytime you've got some height, you can battle. And that's why I'm interested to see what this Middleton team can do. But they're going to have to get by Bonneville first. Yeah. And Bonneville, I love Bonneville's story because Bonneville is under head coach Coach Hengel. This is a team that has 8 seniors who have had 3 different varsity coaches in their career with different philosophies, different cultures. And, this was a program that just needed to be redone, rebuilt, have some rejuvenation and success. 3 years ago, this team was 2-21. 2 years ago, they were 4-19. Last year, they were 5-19. And here they are 15-10 and at the state tournament. So they are going in the right direction in a really interesting, story. And Dallin Jardine, great point guard, can distribute and score. Tyler Jordan, great three-point shooter. He had a game this year, I believe he had 33 points and 9 threes. So I like the story of Bonneville. They're trending in the right direction.
They got great team in the back way too. I mean, they didn't get an easy win. They played 4 games, I think, and ended up having to beat Blackfoot, the number 2 team, to make it. Sorry, Clay, I cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, talking about Middleton's losses early on in the season, those were to 6A teams too.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So they front loaded their schedule big. So those losses that they had are, for me, are misleading because they're playing against those big teams.
Oh, of course, absolutely. So this is a really good Middleton team, and I don't know. There's a couple of teams there that I think you keep your eye on. Middleton is definitely one, but I do like some of these matchups. It's gonna be fun.
Do I have your permission to go on to the players to watch?
You may continue.
Thank you, sir. Here we go. 5A players to watch. Ryan Egbert of Bonneville, Blake Hansen, Columbia, Titan Larson of Hillcrest, AJ Johnson, Jerome, Ty Cornwall of Middleton, Cruz Harris of Preston, Ty Hess of Twin Falls. These are the players to watch in each one of the games, according to you guys. First off, Clay, which one are you most excited to watch play?
I'm excited to see Ty Hess play in that opening game, just because I think that could be our upset. If he comes out and has himself a ball game, we could see a number 7 knock off a number 2.
Scott, who are you most excited to see?
I agree. That's going to be one that I'm keeping an eye on. But I want to see Titan Larson again. I mean, I've been covering Hillcrest forever, it seems, and I just want to see the experience and see what that does. This is his 3rd time at the state tournament, and there's something to be said about that. And I'm a fan of kind of watching them grow and play, and he's a guy that I've watched, and I want to see him play again.
Well, guys, we talked about some of these players, but these are the players to watch. Let's just talk about kind of each one if you've got some stuff there. So Ryan Egbert of Bonneville, talk to me about him a little bit and just kind of go down the list. Scott, why don't you start?
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to Bonneville, they're really kind of a group of kids that they've got a bunch of different leaders. I don't want to say they have a star, but they do have guys that kind of get the motor going, and Egbert's one of those guys, and if they get punched in the mouth by Middleton early, he's going to be the guy that's going to have to get him up and get him going again, Right. And so that's kind of what I see, and that's kind of what I talked about with them trending in the right direction. So, and then go ahead, Clay.
With Blake Hansen from Columbia, he's their senior, he's their leader. He's going to have to be the guy that comes out and really gets this young team under control from the get-go in their game if they want to stick around and be able to hang and play. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that burden of leadership in a program that hasn't had, I don't want to say hasn't had many expectations, but the expectations haven't been there for them to be successful in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, is that a Jamestown Jimmy's hat behind you? No, it is not, Tyler, Mr. Belknap. Tyler was a broadcaster for us for many, many years back in the day. As well as Sven. He's picking Jerome.
for the game or the hat?
I think it's the hat.
Oh, they're talking to each other. Got it. Sven also, he started way back in the day as well. Ended up marrying my niece. He's family now.
Uh-oh, you got a Eulencott. Come on,
yeah,
Kingsbury.
He calls the games up there. Do we not have any?
Oh, you better go back and look at that. And Negative.
You don't have a Lewiston player. Oh.
Uh-oh.
This is put together by Paul Kingsbury, by the way.
Not to throw the guy who's not here under the bus.
Okay, I'll put one on there for you. For Lewiston, Royce Fisher.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I'm just going to say, I mean, he's their leader. He's their main scorer. And obviously he's going to have to bring it. But Hepburn and Bogar, they're going to have to help him out. But it's going to start with Fisher.
Absolutely. And Bogart's going to have a big game too. He'll have to have a solid game for Lewiston to succeed.
All right. So are we on Titan or where are we at? I got
Titan. We're on Titan. Already talked about him.
Yeah.
Just a solid player, so much experience, and he's going to be the guy that's driving the bus for Hillcrest. And then let me take AJ just because I know him. And
we're going to take our lumps real quick. We got to take our lumps. Not having a kid from Lewiston list is wild, guys. And of course, Ryan, the North gets the Rodney Dangerfield treatment again. Yes.
Wow. And Clay and I are going to get blamed for it, and we didn't do it.
We'll make up for it.
Yeah. So I counted. I just copied. I was doing all of them, and I just copy and pasted what I was sent. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, doesn't matter.
Stop. Here we go.
So AJ is just one of those great kids that can slash to the basket. He can shoot from the outside. Lanky. He gets in there, mixes it up, works hard. He's just one of those guys that you love to watch play and coach. And he's going to have to come up big for Jerome because Jerome's going to have a hard time scoring at times, but he's going to have to get his. And if Jerome's going to be successful and hang around. So that's him. So go ahead and take Ty Hornwall.
Okay. Ty is one of the most talented guys on that Middleton team. He's getting looked at by Boise State. So really he's you could say it might be a stretch, but you could say he's a Pac-10 caliber player or Pac-12 caliber player, whatever the Pac-12 exists right now. But he's a solid all-around player. And it's going to be fun to watch him play in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then Cruz is, again, he is the physical post inside. He's gonna try to bump and draw contact, and I mean he is just a physical presence in the paint for Preston, and it's tough to stop that. That's why you need size at a state tournament. And you look at the teams that have won it in the past, almost all of them, and all that I can remember, they had a post because you need to score at the rim. And this is what Cruz Harris is going to do for Preston.
All right. Last but not least, just alphabetical, Ty Hess.
Yeah, we talked about Ty. If he's been a solid player for Twin Falls, and if he has a good game, I like Twin in that 2-7 upset.
Okay. Cedric's music. Bonneville is going to be dangerous. Hot team peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Talked about that. Up north, just to clarify, Brandon, who put it together, lives in Hayden, just outside of Coeur d'Alene. So a North guy left out.
Idaho guy.
Just pull that out.
Ironic.
So those are all the teams. Those are the players to watch for the 5A Boys State Tournament. Once again, this is Scott Burton, Mr. June of Jerome, 1980. I don't know.
That was 1980. That was 88.
Joni loves Chachi. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
All I can say. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Stay tuned. The 4A Boys State Tournament preview show is coming up next right here on IdahoSports.com.
As Idahoans, we're not afraid to take risks.
All the way. Go. All the way down.
Driving under the influence is not a risk we're willing to take. Be around to do more of what you love.
All right, guys, welcome into the 4A Boys State Basketball Tournament preview show. I'm Paul Kingsbury, and with me tonight we have the broadcasters of the 4A tournament. I'll bring them in one at a time, let them introduce themselves, give a little short bio. First up, Ryan Skaggs from up north. Ryan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am living the dream, my friend. Living the dream. Living the dream. Tell us a bit about yourself and how long you been with us, Ryan.
Yeah, so I own Cornerstone Insurance Northwest. I'm an insurance agency owner up here in Coeur d'Alene. I coached high school sports for 15 years. Last stop was at Lakeland High School. I coached football and tennis there. But yeah, I've been with Idaho Sports. I think you lured me out of the coach's booth at a Skyview Lakeland game. This was in 2017 or 18 when we played down there, and I got to talk to you, and I was on the headset, and you ended up getting me back into this. I did radio broadcasting for quite a while, actually, coming out of college, and so I did have some chops. But I'm with Idaho Sports for 6 years now, and then obviously we have the prep cast and stuff up here up north, and things have been awesome. So it's been a pleasure being a part of the Idaho Sports team, and I'm looking forward to finally being back at state after due to work and personal stuff, a 3 or 4 year hiatus. So we're back in the driver's seat and ready to be behind the microphone this week.
Yeah, we're definitely happy to have you back. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is a good tournament. Let's bring in Lance. Lance, how are you, man?
Good, doing good.
Well, you were freezing up. Now you're frozen. At least you're smiling while you're frozen. There you go. Now you're back.
That better?
That's better. That's better.
All righty.
So tell us about yourself, what you do, and how long you've been with Idaho Sports.
Well, I've been with Idaho. I don't know exactly how long. I have 7 children, and all 7 of them are at home at the time, and only one is left at home now. And he was a baby at the time, and he's in high school now. So I've been with you close to, 13 years, somewhere along that range.
You had jet black hair when you started. That's how long you've been with us. Hey, there's Cornerstone Insurance right there. That's Ryan Skaggs.
Yeah, you can see it up there. So in my other life outside of this, I actually started in 94.5 KVFM out of Cache Valley, Utah. Was started radio there, and I've a lot of businesses and different things like that over the years. So that's kind of.
And he's frozen again. All right.
At least he's not on the beanbag this week.
I wasn't on the beanbag last time. It was a really soft chair.
All right, Ryan, we're going to go ahead and go into the bracket. Okay.
Let's do it.
4A tournament, 4 good games on day one. This is just a really good tournament, top to bottom. It's exciting, and there's teams on here. I think last year there's 3 teams that were on the bracket last year. I think, if I counted right. So you got
this tournament, because you did have Coal Valley, but they were obviously runner-up to the classification lower.
Lower classification.
There's a lot of tournament pedigree in this year's bracket.
Absolutely. You got number 3 Sugar versus number 6 McCall Donnelly, number 2 Snake River versus number 7 Filer, number 1 returning champs Bonners Ferry versus number 8 Kimberly, and number 4 Coal Valley moved up a classification and they're back in the tournament, and then number 5 Marsh Valley.
And correct me if I'm wrong too. I believe that Sugar was the only team in this tournament this year that was not at state last year at any of the classifications. So it's a really deep field. 7 out of 8 teams. Okay, never mind then. I was thinking of the wrong bracket. Yeah, and I was going back through my notes and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure everybody was there. But yeah, it's a deep field this year. Right? Sugar not in a state tournament is just a weird thing to happen. All right, guys, let's take a look at this bracket and talk about the matchups. Let's go this one.
There we go.
So Sugar McCall, guys, opening things up for the day. This top half of the bracket, it's kind of destined, I think, for Sugar Snake. But what do you guys think? Lance? Ryan?
I think the most buzz is going to be around that first game.
Yeah.
I think that's and again, the things that I talk about, everybody plays their best. Whose best is better? And I think best is probably better in that scenario. But that's why it's played on the court.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think, we can see this.
Game,
Go ahead.
Lance, you're freezing up on us. Big time.
Am I frozen still?
Yeah.
Frozen still?
Yeah.
You know why?
If you stop your camera, you might actually be able to talk.
All right, let's look at.
I will say this, Paul, is that I think this bracket, though, is going to be the black and blue bracket. I mean, you look at the teams that are here as far as physical play, and I don't know what the officiating is going to be at state. Lance and I talked about this off air, but depending on the officiating can change the pace of these games. If they're willing to let the guys bang around, I mean, these games can get pretty darn physical. If they're going to call a tighter game, I think you're going to get into the finesse type affair, and that's definitely going to play to the hands. I look at Snake and Sugar especially, but McCall, the way they play defense and they're physical, I mean, they can get down low, and you look at what they've got down low with number 4, Michael Foster. That dude can attack the boards. He's a shot blocking machine down low. So, that first game, like I would echo exactly what Lance said. I think that first game right out of the chute's the one to watch on this bracket so far.
Lance, you with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go with it. Yeah. I game brings a lot of buzz to the stadium. I think we're, I think of all the teams that after you get past the first 4, I think McCall is the scariest team as far as potential goes. I think they've got so much. I think a lot of what we see in this state tournament, I'll take Bonners Ferry out of this mix because Bonners Ferry is very, very consistent. But I think with the other teams, you see a lot of streak shooting. I think we're going to see a lot of games that deal with runs, who can get on the run. On a run towards the end of the game. And again, Bonners Ferry is the exception to that. They are really a consistent team.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Speaking of Bonners Ferry, Kimberly, that's a number 1 versus number 8. And this bottom half of the bracket, I think it's Bonners Ferry. Bonners Ferry's, championship to lose, but they kind of have a little bit easier route, I think, than that top half. What do you guys think?
Absolutely, I would agree. I mean, you look at what Bonners Ferry did with their regular season schedule, and playing the upper echelon teams out of the IEL 5 and 6A. I mean, they got dates against Lake City, Coeur d'Alene. They lost to Lake City by 5. They beat Coeur d'Alene. They played that at a neutral site game at NIC, and they took the Vikings out of the gym in that one. Bonners Ferry's got a win over Lewiston. I mean, they scheduled up for what they could do with. You're so far isolated on an island up north. I mean, they're 85 miles from Coeur d'Alene. That you're that far. You got to try to be very unique with your schedule and how you can get some competition in your scheduling. And you're not going to get some of those mid-season tournaments and early season tournaments to travel during Christmas break. I mean, that's a 9-hour trip if you're going to East Idaho. And so they're going to play those Washington schools, and they scheduled up against some of the Washington teams. And, there's a team in there, Reardon from Washington. They're going to be playing in Spokane this week for the State B tournament. And, that's a really good team, too. And this Bonners Ferry teams, we know what they can be because we saw them win the state championship last year. But if teams going to – I think if you look at if you're going to, throw chinks in the armor, the teams that make them run, get out in transition, those are the ones that's what Lake City kind of got it into a track meet. And that was how they were able to climb back. Bonners led most of that game. And Lake City was able to come back and surmount and climb the mountain on them. If you get Bonners Ferry running and they don't have a deep bench, that's the other thing. If you can get their bigs in foul trouble, especially Abubakari, you get him out of the lane. I mean, that bench, there's only 3 guys on the bench behind the starters. They have 8 guys. And that's Coach Williams, that's all he needs. Give me 8. We don't care. And but you look at that 4-5 matchup with Cole Valley and Marsh Valley. Marsh Valley comes in probably one of the hotter teams coming into the tournament too. So if you're looking at a team that could really push Bonners Ferry, Marsh Valley, the way they can shoot, as Lance said, being streaky, that's the team if I look that could try to pull the trigger on an upset. That's the one team I would really look at.
Okay,
I think you're right there. I
Go ahead.
I think it's Ferry too. I think one of the things you got is their front five is so good, just so good. They got 2 players on that team that are 1,000-plus point scorers. Asher Williams is just a fantastic player. You got Thomas Bateman, part of that state championship team here. They're so disciplined. They're so well coached. They know there's another team, and maybe in the whole state, I don't know, better than Bonners Ferry knows who they are. They absolutely know who they are, where they get their scoring from, what they do. And the one thing I've always loved about Coach Williams' system is their scorers are the ones taking the majority of the shots. He gets it in the hands of Asher. He gets it in the hands of Thomas. Those guys can score the ball, and the other teammates take a lot of pride in getting the ball to those guys, pride in setting picks and rebounding. And I mean, this Bonners Ferry team, again, back to if everybody in this tournament plays their best is better than anyone else's best, I believe.
Yep, I would agree 100%. And you look at too, it's we talk about, they have 2,000 point scorers. Well, how many nights, a week is Asher Williams drawing a double team? And you see Bateman go off for 23, 24, 25. I mean, any given night, you get into the state tournament and you try to focus on one player, Bateman's going to hurt you. And that those other guys, they've got size. That's the one thing about that lineup too, is that, their smallest guy in the starting lineup, I think is 6'2". So, I mean, that's a team that can stretch the floor with size. Abubakari down low, I think, could be a difference maker. If they try to really put the clamps down on the perimeter, I would love to see him at 6'7", just a big body down low to just take up the block down there. I mean, that could be a real difference maker for Bonners Ferry. Kimberly's going to have their hands full in that game, but Kimberly can get out and run too. I mean, that's the thing. Kimberly's a streaky shooting team. They've got some big wins on their own right this season as well. And, they've knocked off Sugar, earlier this year, and they beat some teams. So, they took some tough losses as well. The one thing about Kimberly I really look at is, they've got how many losses they have on the season by single digits. I mean, they've been in ball games. They don't necessarily have the flashy record, but that's a team that's hung around with some of the better teams in the state, at least in that area in District 4, 5, and 6.
All right, guys, let's go to the last game of the day. Got to move on, or we're going to lose our green room, guys. Yeah. We're behind. It's about Coal Valley, Marsh Valley, the Battle of the Valleys. Coal Valley in the 2A championship last year, we lost to Ambrose by 2. Now they move up a classification, and here they are, number 4 seed in the state tournament. Can they make some noise, guys? Lance?
Yeah, they potentially. That to me again. I think the first game of the day is the big buzz. However, that's the game that I think right now gives the most questions in mind. Is what's going to happen between those two teams and time, and quite a physical.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Holsinger comes back from that state championship, state runner-up team last year. And, as he goes, the team goes. But they have probably one of the more special players in the state in freshman Soren Frost. That kid can flat play. I don't know if anybody's really seen him play. He might be the best freshman in the state of Idaho that's starting at any classification. That kid can flat play. And he's going to be a matchup problem. He's 6'5", 6'6". He's rangy. And, that's if he has a nice tournament as a freshman playing with house money, I mean, that's a kid that it would be fun to see what he can do in the state tournament this week.
All right, real quick, guys. Go ahead.
No, I just saying I think he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Okay, not to make your head any bigger, but Lance was great in the girls 4A tourney. There you go. That one says
Thank you, Matthew.
And they're ranked lower. Well, we saw that in the girls tournament where, Madison and Rigby, where they beat them 3 times and they were still ranked lower. So that's just a big thing. From Sven, this will make you laugh. Lance's Internet brought to you by Aunt Dixie. Lance, how about that? Asher Williams, over 21
way back.
Career points. I actually cut that clip out, or sent him anyway. Yeah, we found that clip the other day. I haven't seen a team stop him yet, not even Lake City. So again, you guys talked about Asher Williams. Matthew Backman, hopefully a lot of big schools, so they're ready. And Sean, co-host of the East Idaho Prepcast, Marsh Valley 4-game winning streak, beating Snake twice. And Coal Valley's long but doesn't like to be physical. All right, well, there we go, guys. Let's look at our players to watch for the 4A classification, guys. Asher Williams, we talked about. Isaiah Holsinger, Owen Grant of Filer, Broden Anthony of Kimberly, Justice Whitworth of Marsh Valley, Sam Penny of McCall Donnelly, Marcus Coombs of Snake River, Ace Clark of Sugar Salem. Guys, who jumps out at you here? Who are you excited to watch during this tournament? Ryan?
For me, I mean, it's not even on the list. I was going to say Soren Frost is the kid that I'm looking at, but I mean, you could also Ace Clark or Hank Carter for Sugar. I think those are two guys that they have a big tournament. They could find themselves playing on Saturday afternoon in the Idaho Center. That's a matchup that they could pose problems for Snake River. Snake River is another team, though, we haven't really talked about. And that's the thing, is that we look at who they got. Marcus Coombs, that kid can stretch the floor. I mean, 6'5", he can shoot. The rest of the team can shoot.
They're a big team.
Yeah, they're a good team. I mean, they've got size, they've got length, and they got great guard play. So I mean, it's going to be, I think, a tournament of the guards, really, if we look at it. But Sam Penny's another name that's out there. I think, you know, if McCall's going to pull the upset in the first round, quote unquote upset, Sam Penny he's an exciting player to watch, and he's a high flyer too. I mean, he get up, throw it down, and he's a spark plug on the defensive end as well.
Lance, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, called his name before. Most of these players I've had a chance to watch during the regular season, but I'm excited to watch Asher Williams play again. I've seen the kid since he was just a youngster, and he gets better every single year. And so I love to see what he brings to the table. They're so well coached. All these teams, this is a very well coached state tournament. This group, but to see Asher and Thomas Bateman, you know, what they bring to the table. A lot of the other guys, like I said, I've watched throughout the year, so I'm excited to see them play. But I mean, not seeing those guys play a lot this year, I'm excited to see those two play.
All right, guys. One last thing to do. Give me your picks. Who's going to play in the championship? Who wins? Who wants to go first?
Lance, I'll give you the floor.
Okay. You know, boy, this is a team that anybody can win it. Bonners is better. And I believe Bonners Ferry will win it. However, it's in that other side of them. I just do not know. You look at Sugar, McCall, Snake, and Filer, that is a upper half of the bracket. But I'm just going to say whoever comes out of there, I just believe that Bonners Ferry is the best team in the state right now.
Ryan, I'm going to assume you're going to agree with Lance.
I'm going to play Homer here. Yeah, I got to go up north. Bonners Ferry, I think, repeats this year. And I mean, if I picked against the Badgers, I don't think I'd ever be able to drive Highway 95 north of Sandpoint ever again. So,
who are they going to play in the championship?
I have them. I think Snake River is able to put it back together. I mean, we've seen them the last couple of weeks, you know, take some crazy losses, and Snake River's losses that they've had. I mean, it's not really astounding to me that they did lose those games. I think that those teams are very good. I mean, Marsh Valley is a great team, but I think it's gonna go Bonners Ferry beat Snake River, and I don't really know if it's gonna be close though in the championship game. I think Bonners Ferry is going to be at their best. The more they play, the better they play. That's the thing that they've been doing all season.
All right, you guys just pissed off 7 teams in your tournament. Congratulations.
Good. All right.
Hey, I'm over on the one side, but I'll tell you this: Seeds.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're frozen. You froze it, okay? Or I don't know what you're saying. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
It's off the rails.
I think
my Facebook
teams
post
1 through 4, but I just think Bonners Ferry will be the one to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Teams 1 through 4 are
all right, that's going to do it for the 4A Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show. These guys will be on the call for all those games without any internet interruptions. Guaranteed. At that tournament. So before you take off, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. We've got hundreds of people watching and I think 16 likes. That's sad and pathetic, people. Hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. Do it. So we're going to take a break and we'll be back with probably the best segment is going to be the 3A Boys State Tournament Preview Show right after this on IdahoSports.com.
At Valleywide Cooperative, we're here when you need us. For 100 years, we have been here to help you with food, fuel, and good old-fashioned advice. And for us, serving is more than a job, it's a way of life, which is why we pour so much into the communities around us. We've employed hundreds of your neighbors. We take pride in that, and in giving back millions in sponsorships, grants, donations, and scholarships. It's our way of saying thanks. We're Valleywide, and yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're here for you.
Hey, welcome into the 3A Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show. I'm Paul Kingsbury, and I am joined tonight, and I'm going to be joined all weekend with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Leif Morrison. Leif, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good. Sorry you've been waiting in the green room so long. Everybody's got a little chatty tonight, but there's some great information being kicked out there. And like I said, this one's probably going to be the best. You and I are going to be on the 3A tournament at Capitol High School. And that's, in my opinion, the best facility to broadcast from. You're right there. They feed you well, which is really the important thing. And it's just a good time. So I'm excited to have you with me for the 3A tournament. This is the first time you've done state basketball.
Yeah, I've always wanted to kind of do state basketball, so it's pretty cool when I got the call. Pretty jacked about it, actually. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do, and a little bit about your background and how long you've been with us.
Yeah, Leif Morrison is my name. Glens Ferry product. Go Pilots. I was a head football coach in Glens Ferry for a while, and now I run the Idaho Bowl, which is a youth-wide bowl game. You're very involved in that, along with Idaho Sports. So I'm actually looking at the list of the 3A tournament. We have kids from almost every single one of these teams that'll be playing at the Idaho Bowl this summer, so that's pretty cool. Future kids that'll be playing maybe in the state tournament or maybe in state football or whatever. So pretty excited about that. Coached high school football, did a couple years in Burley, coaching at Kimberly this year, back in the game under a headset. So excited about that. And then been broadcasting with you. I think I did the first football game, 8 years ago. Didn't do it for a long time. And then you got me there 2 years ago, I think. And it's been a lot of fun since.
It has. And you and I become friends, which is nice.
We share memes back and forth, so we're pretty tight.
You share reels on Instagram, it's getting pretty serious.
It is getting real serious, yeah, definitely.
Like Scott, you kind of left something out of your bio, and I don't know the background here.
Oh gosh.
There's last week, I believe, at a rager he was at. How old were you in this picture, Leif?
I had to be 22, maybe. I had some good-looking hair then. My goodness.
I don't even know how I have that picture. Don't even have any clue.
Well, I'm glad it's that one and not some other ones. So.
Could be worse.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, let's take a look at the 3A bracket. Let's get this thing rolling for us. Yeah. First up, number 3 Wendell versus number 6 New Plymouth. 2 Firth versus 7 Marsing. Number 1 Declo at versus number 8 Orofino. Number 4 Ambrose, the returning champions, versus number 5 Soda Springs. Anything pop out at you here on this bracket?
Yeah, I really like that first matchup, that Wendell New Plymouth matchup. I think Wendell is kind of a sleeper team in this whole bracket. I mean, they're putting up almost 60 points a game. They've got 4 guys averaging over 10 points a game. They're just hard to stop. I broadcast them a game of them versus Kimberly, and they lost, but they played really, really good. They have the Swainston twins. And they're just unbelievable. So Wendell, what's that?
Call them the 4 J's.
The 4 J's. Yeah, I did see that.
And Jared, they actually call them the 4 J's. They all average double digits, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, they're fun to watch in person. They play super high speed, fast basketball. So Wendell, I feel like, they're a 3 seed coming into this, but they're in my mind the biggest sleeper here that could really make some noise if they can get past that New Plymouth team that plays really good defense.
Yeah, and speaking of New Plymouth, it's been a while since I think it's been 8 years since they won the district tournament.
Yeah,
but it's been 32 years since they won a state championship. I'm going to play Gary Jones. There's that.
Awesome. Paul Kingsbury's a state champ.
Best seat in the house on the bench the whole game. I was there.
So you weren't getting talked about on the Prepcast back 34 years ago, probably.
No, Gary Jones was actually on the radio call of that game with Ron. Yeah, and I have the audio of that, which is pretty cool. They don't say they said my name in the starting line or not in the lineups where they announce everybody because they have to be nice. So yeah, good times.
More times than a lot of people get announced in a state championship game. So good work, man. That's pretty cool.
Well, New Plymouth comes in and they've got height. They've got, and we'll talk about this later on, but that's something. If you've got height in a state tournament, especially in the 3A, 2A, 1A, that helps. And so you're right. That Wendell New Plymouth game is one of those matchups where I was actually looking forward to it too.
Yeah.
3 and 6, and they can be pretty evenly matched. That Firth Marsing game, it's Firth. Firth won 7 titles in 10 years. Between 2007, they had a 4-peat and a 3-peat, and they had T-shirts that were like, "If you're not Firth, you're second." And it was
oh man, that's great.
And so Firth Marsing, Declo Orofino, Declo, number 1 seed in their district tournament, and they lost.
Yeah,
they had to come back, and they still got the number 1 seed at state, so they're going up against Orofino, and it's been a long time since the Maniacs have been at state, like.
Yeah, they kind of came out of nowhere too, won their conference championship. I think they were a 4th seed going into the conference play, ended up winning the whole thing, getting a bid to come to the state tournament, and they're facing a really, really good Declo team. Like I said, lost 1 game. That group of kids, going back into football, I think they've only lost 3 games since the fall, 1 being the state championship in football, and then, like you said, earlier this year, Soda Springs. So that's a really good Declo team, but Orofino's hot. I mean, they're riding a 5-game win streak, and it's kind of like March Madness. Anything can happen once you get into tournament play, and if a team's hot, that's tough, man.
Orofino's been 17 years. 2008 was the last time. That was about the time that picture of you was taken.
Did I just stop it? It actually was. I probably still have that shirt, actually.
You have a bandana. That's really what
I am sure that I do. I'm sure that
right.
I do.
And the nightcap is going to be a good one. Ambrose versus Soda Springs. New coach, Jordan Whitberg. They were the champs last year coming in. They've got that target on their back. 15-8, 10-2 in conference. And got the number 4 seed in a very tough, that bottom half of the bracket's tough because of Declo, right? In the top half of the bracket, you've got Firth. So on paper, you're kind of looking at a 1-2 matchup in the championship, Declo Firth. But like you said, anything can happen. And in this tournament, and we'll talk about it when we go to the players to watch, we've got shooters on every single one of these teams. It's going to be fast-paced action at Capitol. The last great gymnasium is what they call it there. And it's going to be raining threes. I guarantee it all 3 days.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun for us because that's fun basketball to be a fan of and to watch. And so I'm really excited that we got slotted. It helps that you're probably picking where we're getting slotted, but it's nice we get slotted in at the 3A tournament where they're gonna be scoring a lot of points. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, Marsing has had 5 games over 73 points and 3 games over 80. So they can seriously put up the points. It's going to be a lot of fun, kind of up and down the bracket. Is like you said, I think Declo and Firth are the favorites, but Wendell's a big sleeper, and Ambrose another big sleeper, and even Soda Springs. I mean, they like to slow the game down and play a lot of half-court basketball, and they've won a lot of games that they probably shouldn't just by slowing the game down and forcing people to play in an uncomfortable situation.
Well, let's take a look. We've got a few comments come in. Take this opportunity, hit the like button, hit like and share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit that like button right now. It's easy. Just do it, okay? First up, a friend of ours, a good friend, a brother, really. Where is it? Doug Swanson calling us pretty boys.
Oh, I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Gary Jones, go Pilgrims. Gary was a teacher there. He was my teacher in high school, actually.
Gary's picture is pretty cool.
And I was looking for that picture. He always dressed up. And that was a Halloween. I think it was Halloween, but it was Superman, and he wore the underoos tights with it. Wow. It was scarred. Hayden's back says, now I'm not saying Orofino's going to win it, but they are a team that can catch fire and beat anyone, plus first appearance since 2008. So that's true. And Kobe comes in. Orofino's got the best mascot in the country. The Maniacs. Yes. And we will talk about that. It predates the asylum they've got up there. But yeah, we'll talk about it during the games. But let's take a look at our players to watch. Leif. For the 2A, let's go to 3A.
I do like those guys too.
Ambrose, Carter Robinson, Declo, Bryson Anderson, Firth, Juan Ponce of Marsing, Cohen Evans of New Plymouth, Blake Barlow of Orofino, Cooper Thompson, Soda Springs, and Jordan Swainston of Wendell. Who you're looking forward to seeing on this list?
I saw him once earlier this year, but I really love Swainston from Wendell. He's so dynamic, plays good defense too, and is all over the court. Him and his brother are they can take over a game if they want to. So that Wendell squad is, like I said it before, they're going to be fun to watch, and they're kind of my sleeper team. I'm excited to watch Jordan Swainston in that first game of the day, actually, which is going to be a lot of fun.
And see, Jonathan is the leading scorer on the team. And so when kind of choosing our players to watch, but Jordan, he averages 14.5, but he gets a little over 4 rebounds. He's got 4 assists, 2 steals. And so he's kind of the more complete, I don't want to say complete player, that's wrong. But just with those stats, it's a dynamic duo with those twins. Plus you get the other 2 J's in there. And yeah, that's tough. You've got Cohen Evans, 6'9", from New Plymouth. We talked about height in these tournaments. If you can have a post, and if they utilize that post, right? Mm-hmm. That is so big in these tournaments. If you can do that, the one thing that I saw, he's got like 47% free throws. So
yeah,
got to work on the free throws, man.
The hack-a-shack is real.
So let's take a look at. Also, I'm looking forward to Carter Robinson of Declo, and kid's a shooter. I mean, he's 5% field goals, 38 3-points, made 46 3-pointers this year, but he can just go off. Emmett Gibby on that team as well, averaged a double-double, 14 points. Carter Robinson, though, they call him Sea Dog, is friends call him, so that's what we're going to call him because we're obviously friends. But Lincoln Mathis of Ambrose, 6'3", 21 points a game, almost 10 boards, 3 assists, over a block a game, and 77% from the free throw line. The kid's going to play baseball at CSI. He's one of the best left-handed pitchers in the state. And those guys, especially when you get 3A down, you're athletes, right? It's not like a Highland and a Rocky Mountain where you've got 200 kids trying out for football and you've got 20 kids trying out for basketball. Your athletes are your athletes, right? And he's that guy for Ambrose. And he's actually I think he's the only senior on our players to watch. Everybody else are juniors. We got a sophomore and Blake Barlow of Orofino, Bryson Anderson from Firth, 10 points, 7 boards. Mm-hmm. They've got a big 3 in Firth. They've got Anderson, of course, but then Kilpack and then Michael Adams. So all these teams really are just stacked. Mm-hmm. And number 1 through number 8, does it really matter? I mean, when teams actually get on the court, does it matter?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This is actually a young tournament. I think Marsing's got the most impact seniors. They've got 4 guys that are averaging double figures, and they're seniors. But for the most part, it's really an underclassmen-led bracket, which is going to be a lot of fun, not for just this year, but for years to come. There's a lot of really good basketball that's going to be played at 3A level for 2, 3, 4 years. We're going to be saying a lot of these guys' names over and over and over again.
That's been a theme. There was a theme in the girls' tournament, and even in the other classifications of this tournament, there's a lot of youth. There's just a ton of youth in the state. And so these next 2-3 years, there's going to be some good basketball being played.
I agree.
We got Wyatt chiming in, excited to listen this weekend. 3A sports are always the best. #Laper. So, hey. Wyatt, how you doing, man? Wyatt was a podcast partner this year.
I know you crept in. Wyatt's been my guy this year. We broadcast 4 or 5 games together. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Wyatt, good guy. All right, so let's do what everyone else has done. I guess I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. We're gonna continue the tradition, though, huh?
I don't know. You and I mean, who's gonna stop us?
Yeah, I mean, true.
I'm going to say on paper it looks like a Declo for match championship, right? However, Ambrose, they're the returning champions. They're the champion until someone beats them, right? That Wendell New Plymouth. It's all about matchups when you get to the state tournament. I mean, you can be for instance, a number 6 New Plymouth. Okay, maybe no one can match up with the height they've got. Maybe somebody just goes on a tear, and just starts hitting 3. I mean, at the state tournament, anything can happen, and we say that in every classification. But honestly, in this 3A tournament, I think it's actually true.
Yes,
I think any team. I think Declo or Orofino would be the toughest for Declo. Everybody else, I think going into it, everybody's beatable. I think, or everybody
too. I mean, you could have a Wendell Ambrose state champion, you could championship a Declo Firth, a Declo New Plymouth. Like they're really, I mean, you could just pull these names out of a hat. All these teams are fairly even across the board. Like you said, Orofino's got the toughest first round draw for sure because Declo is what Declo is. But they also lost to Soda Springs earlier in the conference. And I mean, did Soda figure them out? What's going on there? And that the Orofino coach has the Soda coach on the horn being like, hey, how?
Talk to me.
How did you do it?
Talk to me. And of course, they're in the same tournament. He's like, pound sand, brother.
Yeah. Let's play round 2.
Yeah. All right. Leif, you and I are going to be at Capitol High School Thursday, Friday, and then we're going to the Ford Idaho Center to do the championship game. We're going to have a sub come in for us on those 3rd place and consolation games in the morning. But it's going to be a good time. I honestly think we have the best tournament. Hands down. We have the best tournament.
I agree.
A lot of fun.
Come visit us. Bring us some. What do you want? Mountain Dews? Big Mountain Dew guy?
I kind of like Mountain Dew. Kind of. Yeah. Come on,
you own a Mountain Dew hat. You like Mountain Dew.
It's right there, actually, right there on the wall. Yeah. No, and in Capitol where we're at, we're set up in the bleachers in the lower deck, and so there's people all the way around us. Love it when people come up and say hi. Awesome. So that's going to do it for the 3A Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show. It's going to be a fun one. So stay tuned. We've got 2A coming up next right here on IdahoSports.com.
At Valleywide Cooperative, we're here when you need us. For 100 years, we have been here to help you with food, fuel, and good old-fashioned advice. And for us, serving is more than a job, it's a way of life, which is why we pour so much into the communities around us. We've employed hundreds of your neighbors. We take pride in that, and in giving back millions in sponsorships, grants, donations, and scholarships. It's our way of saying thanks. We're Valleywide, and yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're here for you.
All right, welcome into the 2A Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show. I am Paul Kingsbury, and I'm joined tonight by the color guy extraordinaire, one of my favorite color guys to work with, Mr. Glenn Jones. Glenn's looking down right now. All you can see is the B on his hat. There you go.
I just woke up. I was supposed to be on an hour ago.
Old man Winter over here trying to get on. I know it's past your bedtime, and I apologize for that.
Hey, sporting the Bora hat right now.
I see that. I remember when we used to do the video with the games, when we sit up top, we'd have to pause all the time because your fans from Bora would be mauling you for autographs. And it was fantastic.
It's a tough life.
Well, like everybody else, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with us, what you did before you retired 30 years ago.
Well, I was a teacher, coach, athletic director at West Junior High in Boise, coached football, basketball, and track, all of them for around 20 years each, and retired in 2014. And how long have I been with you? When did you start?
We started the site before the turn of the century, and we started broadcasting in 2005, I think. Okay. So, yeah.
So I've been 20 plus years, and I'm back in the day. You and me and Gary did every championship game. Those were long days, rugged times.
The average.
What's that?
I said good for the blood, bad for the average.
Good for the blood, bad for the average. Nothing but iron, baby. I use that now. I taught.
You didn't come in. I led you with it, and you didn't come in with it.
No, sorry. I taught Joel that.
Nice. Good. So yeah, Glenn, you've been around a long time with Idaho Sports, and so we've got a tournament to talk about, and the 2A tournament is also going to be a good one. It was 1A Division 1 last year, of course, but let's take a look at the bracket for the 2A boys. Kendrick Hagerman, Valley Grace, Kamei, Victory Charter, Lakeside, Riverstone. So what game on day one jumps out at you, Glenn?
The one right out of the chute. I like Kendrick Hagerman game. I think well, let's just take a look at those. I like Hagerman in an upset here, to be honest with you. I like the way they're playing. They have a nice mix of 3 seniors, 4 juniors, a couple of sophomores and freshmen. They all contribute. I was looking down here on Hagerman's team, Kason Knight and Will Mavenkamp, 2 freshmen. Knight's averaging 7.7 points and 4.5 rebounds. That's not bad. That's for a freshman on the year. Mavenkamp 5.2 and 3.4. So those aren't even the stars of the team. I like the way Hagerman plays as a team, scoring a little over 60 points a game and giving up 49. That's a little bit of a concern for me. The other concern is for Hagerman is, can they rebound? They have 4 guys that average between 4.5 and 6.5 rebounds. Nobody really stands out. You don't have that one guy that's pulling down a double-double or averaging 9.5 rebounds. So that's a little bit concerned. Can they clean the boards? So
maybe it's because they make all their shots.
If you make your shots, you don't have to rebound. Isn't that right?
Well, Glenn, Kingston Knight, his mom is the head coach, Katie Knight, and she is the nicest person you will ever meet. She's actually was a broadcaster for. She's the busiest person in the world. Between family, coaching, refereeing down there, she does it all. And she's now has been the boys basketball coach. Got him to state, and like you said, they've got a pretty good chance of moving on after day one.
Yeah, and they have what looks like a tough draw right out of the chute with Kendrick. Coach Kirkland has them coming in at 17-7, the number 3 seed. They beat Kamei, upset them, if you will, 52-46. Sent Kamei into the play-in bracket. That was pretty fun to watch. And then, they score 58.6 points per game. They're giving up 47. They're a team to reckon with. However, they only have a couple of seniors. And when you get to state time, I'm a firm believer in experience is the straw that stirs the milkshake.
That's just because you are a senior. You're kind of predisposed to rooting for seniors. That's the way it works. God, I love what? Aiden is in. Kendrick up the beat. Going to be even better next year. Still missing one of the best players in the state, Nathan Twite. Yeah.
Boy, Nathan Twite. Was he fun to watch the last couple of years? My goodness, that guy was he was on a different level.
Kristen writes in, it's include Go Cubs. And we're going to talk about Kamei here in a second. And
I want to take a look at the next game.
Well, I want to get this comment real quick. Hang on a minute. When will Idaho finally adjust their bid format so the great teams are not sitting at home for the state tournament? Too many great teams sitting at home when they had one hiccup at districts. They did redo the format. We are in the new format. So it is what it is, which it's going to be this way for a while, unless you come up with a better idea. All right, let's take a look at the bracket. So, did you have something on that one?
Yeah, well, there's only 8 teams that get to go to state.
Yep.
Right there, you're limited to team number 9 and 10, 11, 12 have legitimate arguments, but hey, dude, you only take 8.
Regionals.
There you go.
Saying. So next up, Valley Grace. Now we've got one team in the entire state that's undefeated, and that's Valley.
Yes.
The number 2 seed going up against Grace.
Yes. I got more to say about that right there.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about this?
Okay, that gets the coach in me going. In the NFL, they call that bulletin board material. You know, you go out there and you're given a schedule, and you go through that schedule. And not only do you go through the schedule, but you are the number in this tournament. You're the number 2 team in terms of scoring, and you're the number 2 team in terms of team defense of all the teams in the tournament. And you're undefeated, and you get a number 2 seed. Boy, if I was a coach, I'd be talking to my kids big time about a little bit of motivation and a little bit of revenge and, you know, chip on the shoulder kind of thing. That's bulletin board material for me.
Welcome in Ryan Skaggs. He's actually filling in for Brandon, talking about the North teams a little bit, and I completely forgot. That's my fault, Ryan. I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, I was sitting here in the green room, and I'm like, I don't know if he's going to use me. I could go hang out with family. But, yeah, I mean, to kind of echo what Glenn's been saying, I mean, like, you look at going back to just Kendrick and what they're able to defensively. I mean, you know, they're able to stretch the floor. Yeah, they're missing their best player, but Raleigh Rotsitzer has been tearing it up for the Tigers, and that matchup with Eggerman is going to be a great game. I think that's going to be a round 1 gem of a matchup that you guys get right out of the chute.
Absolutely agree on that one. So that next game, we're looking at Kamei Victory Charter. Got a lot of Kamei fans watching. I know that for a fact. And Victory Charter. Charter schools here in the Valley coming in at number 8. The Vipers have any chance there?
Based on what I've seen with Kamei, no. Go ahead, Glenn.
They have 2, Slim and None, and Slim just left the building.
All right.
Yeah.
No, Kamei. You know, Kamei. What's great about Kamei is if you can count a loss as being good. When they lost that game and they were sent into, you got to go to the play-in now. You got to keep winning to get to the play-in, to get to the tournament. And you have 20 plus wins on the season. They're kind of going, uh-oh, it's gotten real. And they responded by putting up, I think, 147 points in the next 2 games, kind of going, I think we should be there, and nobody's standing in our way. That kind of momentum, especially 147 points coming in, you know, after that loss to get back into the tournament and claim the number 1 spot. That's, I mean, pretty awesome.
With Clute, you know, he's going to College of Idaho, and it's not just Dave Clute, though. I mean, like, you got Matthew Oatman went off for 25 against Logos. That's a team that's missing from this tournament, in my opinion. That Logos team is really good. Brandon and I talk about it every week, how good this district is. District 2 is unbelievable. And, you know, so it doesn't surprise me Kendrick was finally able to get Kamei and nip them. Kendrick had been hanging tough all year. Kamei, I don't want to say they're playing too close to the sun, but just matchup-wise, that was not their night. And, you know, this Kamei team, though, I look at it, and you go into the – like, if you look ahead to the next round, if Kamei gets the win, and we'll talk about the next game, but this, you know, I don't want to say it's their tournament to lose. I think Valley could very much give them a challenge if they make it to the championship, but they got to get by Lakeside or whoever else it is next, because, you know, they only beat Lakeside by 11 this year. So,
well, Jet Wood, he plays for the Vipers, plays for Victory. He's been waiting since the 6A. He's been here for a while. So, go Vipers! Upset in the making. So
we love, you know, and half the Viper Victory Charter lineup is freshmen or sophomores. They only have 10.
Jet, I'm giving you permission. When you go to the gym, walk up to these guys and just slap them. Say, hey, talk down about the charter. You have permission. I give it. All right, let's look at Lakeside Riverstone. There was a guy in the comments talking about. Oh, that was you, Ryan, before I brought you in.
That was me, because I didn't know if you were going to bring me on.
And, of course, Lakeside's gone over 80 points 9 times this year. So they're scores, right? They're scores. And going up against Riverstone, the number 5. So in the other classifications, we've seen this number 4 versus number 5 to round out the night being possibly one of the best games of the day. Is that going to be the case here in the 2As?
Go ahead, Glenn, because you know Riverstone better than I, but I have my feelings about this game.
Okay. I'll start with Riverstone. All right. They have a lot of team chemistry. They have a lot of senior experience. 9 of their 10 players are seniors or juniors. All right. Been there before. Okay. They have a great record, 20-2. They've done everything they've been asked. They are the best team defense in the tournament at 35.5 points per game they give up. Okay. They scored about 55.5 points per game. So they can put the rock in the hoop as well. They can do it, but they're going to have to play, I think, their best game right out of the chute to beat Lakeside.
Yep. Yeah. And this Lakeside team is legit. I mean, you know, I live 20 miles away. I watch them play a lot. And I mean, if you don't know who Tyson Charlie is, you're going to find out round one. He is a walking double-double. He averages a double-double per game. I mean, he's legit. And it's not just Tyson, though, because, like, you got Jalapeno in the lineup, Furious Louie, which probably has one of the cooler names of anybody in the tournament at any classification. That's pretty awesome. Preston Spotted Horse and Jaden Plouffe. I mean, like, that 5 lineup is really good. And the teams that they lost to this year, they lost to Kamei, you know, the number 1 seed. Inchelium and Washington, they're playing in the B tournament in Spokane. Lapway beat them once, and Potlatch beat them. I mean, those are, you know, we talk about the White Pine, and then they lost to Lake Roosevelt, who's another B school in Washington playing in the state tournament. So, you know, this team is battle tested, and when they won the state championship, you know, their last championship they won, I mean, it kind of talked like everybody was talking about Lapway, and it's looking like, you know, can they play the sneaky team that comes from behind with, you know, great team defense and great guard play, and can they do it again? And maybe, you know, Personally, I think this might be the most lopsided game of the 4 in the first round, just based on what I'm seeing. And just knowing this Lakeside team and the way they can score, I know Riverstone fans probably won't be a big fan of mine after saying that, but this Lakeside team is legit. Just not a lot of people watch them play.
Yeah, you just pissed off a lot of
you know, 76 points a game speaks for itself. That's you look at that average and you just go, my goodness, how do they do that? They get up and down the court, and I'm really anxious to watch that. Not to jump ahead, Paul, but I'm anxious to watch Tyson Charlie as well. So Lakeside they're the number 1 team offensive wise in the tournament, and I think they're going to make some noise. I would not be surprised if Lakeside comes through that bracket and goes to the championship game. I believe they've been to the championship game the last 2 years, right? They got a second and a first place, I think.
Yeah. And then they won a championship back in 2019 or 20 or something like that. I mean, Coach Two Teeth is a name that doesn't get thrown out a ton in the basketball circles in the state of Idaho. He can coach. I mean, I don't care who you give him. He'll turn him into a winner. And, I mean, this Lakeside team's legit. I'm looking forward if both things go to chalk. If a semifinal matchup with Kamei, holy cow, Glenn, get your popcorn, because that's going to be a handy of a ball game.
Yes, I think so too.
Let's talk about our players to watch, guys. 2A players to watch: Braden Kimball out of Grace, Kai Kendall, Hagerman, Tyson Charlie of Lakeside, David Clute of Kamei, Raleigh Rotsasender of Kendrick, Amer Senga from Riverstone, Pedro Robles from Valley, and Cody Luce of Victory Charter. So who are you guys looking forward to seeing play? Ryan, go.
I mean, Hagerman's going to need Kai Kendall to be Kai Kendall in that first game with Kendrick. I mean, we know how dynamic he is on the football field. They're going to need a Herculean effort from him. I think, he's a guy that can take over a game. Hagerman, if they're going to push Kendrick in that round 1 matchup, it's going to fall probably on his shoulders. The two right there kind of in the middle, Tyson Charlie, Dave Clute, in my opinion, man, those are 2 very dynamic players. Dave is any classification, I would put him, he'd be starting for any team in the state of Idaho if he was on their team. He's just that kind of player. Dave is a generational talent in Kamei, and they've had some good ones. I mean, we go back to, there's been some state records broken last year that belong to a Kamei Cub. So Dave's just another in the long line of great Kamei players.
Absolutely. Glenn, Who are you looking forward to seeing this week?
Oh, I already gave it away a minute ago. It's Tyson Charlie. Well, I'm anxious. This guy averages almost 8 assists a game. And let alone he's up around 24 points a game, 8 assists a game, and you're the leading scorer with a whole bunch of points. That tells me that he can take it to the rim. All right, it could be hard to guard going there. So then you got to start guard that a little bit. Fakes to the rim, pulls up for a jump shot. How do you guard him? It's going to be fun to watch this guy, and I'm excited to see what he can do on the court.
All right, so you talked about the standouts. I'm looking at this list here. I mean, this is obviously the players to watch, but I mean, this is just an all-star lineup here. I mean, top to bottom, and a lot of these names we've been calling in other sports for many years, and some of these guys are finally getting to the end of their careers, like Dave Clute up in Kamei, and so it's kind of a hurrah send-off for him. And coming in as the number 1 seed, Kamei, I'm just one of those guys that I likes that story of finishing strong, and I think it'd be cool to see Kamei go all the way and do that. Yeah. But let's take a look at what you guys think. Let's take a look. Here's the bracket. We're going to start with Glenn. Glenn, who's going to be in the championship and who's going to win?
It is going to be Valley, Kamei with Valley on top. However, having said that, if Lakeside or Hagerman get in there, I would not be surprised that either one of them made the championship game, but I'm going with Valley, Kamei, and Valley.
All right, Ryan, who do you have?
I feel like this bracket could be the one of upsets. At least on the top end, everybody looks at Valley, and they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I think there's gonna be an upset. I think Kamei is gonna be the title game. I could realistically see them playing the Hagerman Kendrick winner. Both those teams, I think, are very deadly teams if they get in the championship. Kamei is going to win, and it's not because of Dave Clute. They're going to win because of Lawson Landmark and Jaden Crow. I think those are 2 guys that you keep an eye on in the 2A tournament. They are just gritty players. They play super tough. They play hard. And, they'll be diving on the ground for loose balls, the type of guys you love to see. So if Kamei wins, it's going to be because of the supporting cast around Dave Clute. That's no knock against him. He's great, but I think that his teammates are going to lift him to a title.
All right, this is your broadcast. Well, no, it's going to be Glenn Jones and Brandon. Ryan in at the 4A. He's helping out. But Glenn will be there at Valley View. Go on up and say hi. They'll be right there in the stands. Go up and say hi. And, of course, if you're from Victory Charter, just slap the crap out of Glenn Jones. That's fine. He likes it. He likes it.
You know what? It's the elder thing. It's the elder thing and the respect. Or lack thereof.
Respect the elders. Yeah, you give me that speech every year, old man.
How much dye do you use on your beard, by the way?
Yeah, you can leave the hate mail with Brandon. He'll bring it back to Coeur d'Alene for me.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I absolutely dye my beard. Are you kidding? I'd be as white as you if I didn't. I'm single. I've got to pick up the chicks. I can't do that. You kidding me? All right, that's going to do it for the 2A boys state tournament. We've got one left. If Gary's not asleep, we're going to be back with that one right after this on IdahoSports.com.
Thanks, Ryan.
At Valleywide Cooperative, we're here when you need us. For 100 years, we have been here to help you with food, fuel, and good old-fashioned advice. And for us, serving is more than a job, it's a way of life, which is why we pour so much into the communities around us. We've employed hundreds of your neighbors. We take pride in that, and in giving back millions in sponsorships, grants, donations, and scholarships. It's our way of saying thanks. We're Valleywide, and yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're here for you.
All right, welcome into the 1A Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show. I'm Paul Kingsbury, and with me tonight is the broadcast team for the 1A tournament at Caldwell. We're going to welcome them in one at a time. First up, Mr. Gary Jones. Gary, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, buddy.
Nice Pilgrim shirt. I like it.
Yeah, I just got it from the coach.
I didn't get a Pilgrim shirt.
Well, you didn't pick him either.
No, I did not. I did not. So, Gary, tell us a little about yourself, a little bio, and how long you've been with us.
Okay, well, I taught at New Plymouth High School, as you know. I taught there for 32 years. I was a science teacher. I coached assistant basketball, assistant football, but I was the head baseball coach for 13 years. And I was lucky enough to win a state championship with a bunch of great players in 1994. And that's where I always show this ring here. Happiest day of my life. The second happiest day, I got married to my lovely wife, Penny, but I had to tell her I was a little happier on that state championship day. It was like a puppy in a room full of rubber balls.
Yes, and I've used that. Thank you very much.
And then I believe I was the first announcer that you hired, because I started radio in 1988. I was color with Kovic. Mm-hmm. Then he left and I became play-by-play. And then you asked me if I'd rather do that than radio, and I jumped at it because I just knew what Idaho Sports was going to become. Plus, I had a hard time getting paid from radio. I still have radio stations that owe me money, believe it or not.
Yeah, same actually from those days.
So I'm honored to be I'm not going to say the number one guy. There's a lot better broadcasters than me now, but I'm the oldest guy.
You're the longest tenured.
Longest tenured, yeah. I'm proud of that.
Well, your color guy this weekend is a guy that's been with us for quite a while, too. Not quite as long, but Josh McGauley lives over in eastern Idaho, the old guy. Josh, how are you, man? We haven't talked for a while.
I know. I'm doing really good. I'm living life. Loving it. Nice 45 degrees over here. Snow's melting away. State baseball's this week. I'm so excited.
Your mic is popping a little bit like crack.
Oh, it's popping. Here, hang on. I'll just take these out.
Okay. All right, we'll switch on this.
Can you hear me?
So, yep. Hear you just fine. Let's take a look at actually, Josh, give that same bio and kind of how you started with us.
Okay, yeah. No, I started about 4 years ago with Lauren Jensen, the great Lauren Jensen, and I loved it. I love sports, high school sports all the way through. I started about 3.5 years ago, and then now I'm a mailman now. So you see me in the streets of Rexburg and doing some high school sports on the side. I love it.
Heck yeah, doing government work, getting people their mail.
Absolutely. For
you. And it frees up time in the evenings for broadcasting.
It's perfect. It's the perfect job for this.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's take a look at the 1A bracket. You got a good one here, guys. Water Springs and Chalice, 3 versus number 6. Rockland and Nez Perce. Dietrich versus number 8, Coeur de Christ. Number 4, Cascade. And number 5, Garden Valley. Gary, what's something that stands out to you about this bracket?
Well, I would say that the first 3 games have heavy favorites based on one-loss record alone. By the way, I haven't seen any of these teams play, and I don't have any stats, so I'm doing this off of basically their schedule. But in the long pin, Garden Valley and Cascade, that's the game that stands out to me because they've split in the regular season. Garden Valley won 53-41, and Cascade beat them 56-42. So it's a rubber match for those guys to get into the semifinals. I would think that the favorites on the other 3 brackets, Water Springs, Rockland, and Dietrich, would probably win.
It's funny. On my notes, I actually have rubber match written right there. We're thinking the same here. And there at the top of the bracket, the first 2 games, you got Water Springs, Chalice, Rockland, all the Rocky Mountain Conference. So 3 conference foes right there in the games 1 and 2. And then you've got conference foes playing each other in the last game of the day. So it's an interesting bracket. Josh, what stands out to you?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Rockland and Water Springs more than likely will face each other again for the 3rd time this year. Water Springs have won the last 2, of course, coming in district championship with Water Springs winning by just 2 points. I talked to Coach Evan today, and he said that game was so tough mentally, and they were so glad that they got that win because, they're just that high to go into the state tournament, to know that they're probably going to face them again in the semis, and that they've beaten them 2 times in a row now to make it the 3rd time to get that championship game. The game I'm actually looking forward to the most, and we'll talk about it a lot, is that Dietrich Coeur de Christ game, because some of those players on Coeur de Christ, you got a player that's averaging over 30 points a game. It is absolutely absurd what some of those players are doing over there. And so, to be honest, I know we'll get to it in a minute, but that game right there, that's the one upset I have, is for that's the 2A. There you go. For that Coeur de Christ to upset the number 1 seed. If Dietrich comes out slow, boy, that's going to be an upset right there on that 3rd game.
All right, guys, let's start at the top. That Water Springs Chalice, kind of talk a little bit about it. Water Springs coming in 20 and 3 on the year, 9-1 in conference. Just a small school there in Idaho Falls versus Chalice. I mean, that's a long way to, everywhere's a long way to go for Chalice. I mean, they're up there in God's country. I would love to live up there. It'd be fantastic. Rockland and Nez Perce. Talk about this one a little bit. Coming in Rockland, down there in District 5, pretty South Idaho. Nez Perce coming in District 2. Is Nez Perce really number 7? And we talked about this in the other classifications with the number 7, where they're number 7 because there's 8 teams, but really, are they really a number 7?
Well, based on the record, they only have 5 losses. The top 3 teams are with 3 losses. You know what's interesting about when I did the girls 1A, Genesee was number 1 in everything, every poll, even our power rankings. Everybody split on these teams this year. In the coaches poll, Rockland's 1, Water Springs 2, Dietrich's 3. In Max Prep, it's Dietrich, Rockland, Water Springs. In the media, it's Water Springs, Rockland, Dietrich. But the most important one is the power rankings on Idaho Sports, of course. Water Springs, Rockland, Dietrich. So Water Springs got 2 of the first place votes out of the 4. The rest of them, nobody can decide on who the best teams are. So that's why this thing's up for grabs.
We're just kind of showing the comments coming in. Of course, Gary, I bet you remember the Isham name over the years. We broadcast a lot of Ishams. I think they were a Richfield name, if I remember right, going through the years. Yeah. Anyway.
You know who's coming up this time? There's some Torgersons on Dietrich, and I got a hold of Eric, the one I wrote the story about, my sportsmanship story. His first cousins. His first cousin is their sons.
And he's a stud. He's a stud on the football field and on the basketball court. He's a bulldozer. He was our player of the game when I went there earlier this year, did the Dietrich Carey game. And his dad, Mike, great guy. He used to always buy us dinner there in Dietrich and at the Eagles. Anyway, good guy. I love the people in Dietrich. Good people. Well, let's talk about that Dietrich versus Court of Christ, guys. 1 versus 8. New school coming in first year with coming to basketball, and they make the state tournament. What kind of chance they have? Gary, talk about Dietrich Blue Devils and the Court of Christ Saints. Gary.
Oh, you said me?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Sounds like Josh, I apologize.
If I think Dietrich's going to win. I was amazed on the very first year when Owyhee won state. Who does that? I mean, your very first year, you're a school, you win state. The Council of Boys have been to school 100 times, never won state. I just think the odds are against them. It's their first year. They've never been in big tournaments and anything. So I would think Dietrich's going to win, but you never know. That's why we play the game and not judge it on paper.
Now, one of your favorite things to do, Gary, is do the mascot matchups. What do you think about this one?
Okay, if you haven't ever heard me, I always talk about what if the mascots fought. Well, no, forget about the players. What if a bulldog and a panther, we just put them on a field? Who would win? Well, the Panther's going to win all the time. Now, I've seen in my life 2 classic matchups. One this year with your son, Will. It was Cuna and Timberline. It was the Cavemen and the Timberwolves. Okay, that battle's been going on for eons. Sometimes the Timberwolf wins, sometimes the Caveman win. This is a close second, if not first. It's the Blue Devils and the Court of Christ Saints.
Devils and the Saints.
It's the Devils and the Saints. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It's a classic matchup.
It is classic. I like it.
Start of time. This has been being fought.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interesting one. Like I said, I've seen Dietrich play. They're good. They're fast and they're tough and aggressive. It's going to be a tough one for Court of Christ.
Plus, they have a lot of experience at state.
Yes.
Yeah, and Dietrich they have 5 players averaging over 10 points a game, and they're incredible. They really are with those 5 players. And the reason I brought up the Court of Christ earlier is, when you get a stat line like Ben Connolly for Court of Christ, who's averaging 31 a game, 4 assists a game, 6 rebounds a game, 4 steals a game. Like, that's just a player that you don't see often that could take over a game. But with Dietrich, I mean, of course, if they come out and play their game, they can let Ben do whatever he wants, and they could still win that game.
Right.
It's just they cannot come out slow.
All right, let's take a look at that last one, guys. Cascade Garden Valley Conference foes. Like you said, it's the rubber match. Who wins the rubber match, Gary?
I'm going to go with the Wolverines. Both games were close in the regular season. I think Garden Valley has a little bit more than Cascade does in terms of players and talent. But once again, this is an educated guess on my part. So I hope the Cascade people, the Ramblers, don't get too angry.
Devin Barker.
I'll be the devil's advocate. I'll go for the Cascade then.
Ramblers versus the Wolverines.
Well, Ramblers is a walker with a walking stick. The Wolverine would eat him for lunch.
Well, what's a Rambler?
He's just a guy that walks. So if he's a cowboy, he's got a gun, okay? The guy that walks is a walking stick. You got a walking stick and a Wolverine, I'm betting on a Wolverine every time. That's the fiercest animal, pound for pound, in the woods. They say that a Wolverine can kill a grizzly.
Well, Gary, you're old enough to remember. What if it's a Nash Rambler?
What if it's a what?
One of the old Nash Ramblers.
Well, he'll be driving away from the Wolverine, so he'll win out of fear. He will, or he'll try to run him over. I've looked it up, though. The Rambler is just a guy that walks around. He rambles from town to town.
I thought that was you, Paul.
All I do is town to town. That's it. All right, guys, let's take a look at our players to watch in the 1A classification. Cole Olson of Cascade, Jason Farr of Chalice, Ben Connolly of Court of Christ, Connor Perkins, Dietrich, Maddox Miller, Garden Valley, Aiden McLeod of Nez Perce, Woodrow Louder of Rockland, and Titus Driver of Water Springs. Guys, who are you most excited to watch during this tournament? Josh?
So I talked a lot about Ben Connolly, but I'm going to go away from him. I'm going to go with Titus Driver of Water Springs. He's a true 6'10" guy, and at this level, he can do what he wants. There's not really anybody else that can match up with him. So I'm really excited to see that true 6'10" go to work down there for Water Springs.
Yeah, height definitely matters in these lower classifications. We talked about that in the 3A preview with the Plymouth 6'9" guy, and it's just hard to match up with other teams for the most part. So, yeah, good pick. Gary, who do you have? Who are you excited to watch?
Okay, because this is the smallest school division, I love doing the smallest schools. These are small schools. Cascades at State, I looked up their attendance. They have 43 kids. Okay, so what I always look for is the number one seeded team, Dietrich. I want to see their best player. Because if you're the number one seed at a small school, that guy is lights and shoulders above a lot of people. So I'm going to stick with Dietrich and that player there.
Connor Perkins. Yeah, quarterback. Yeah, he's the athlete. He's a great athlete there. Yeah.
By the way, I'll give you a little trivia question. You know what the smallest school attendance-wise is in Idaho?
Ledor.
Cul-de-sac. 16 kids, 9 through 12.
Whoa.
Hey, I might have been able to be valedictorian at that school.
You might have made the basketball team at that school.
With a 2.5 GPA.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, looking down the rest of them, Maddox Miller, Garden Valley, Aiden McLeod, a Scottish family up in Nez Perce. That's great. Love it.
Jason Farr from Chalice as well is averaging over 28 games. So we're going to have some very, very good athletes to watch out for this weekend.
I think you have a lot of potential for high scoring games if kids are on. And Caldwell's a great venue for this tournament. I think, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, I think during COVID they played the championship there, correct?
Say that again.
During COVID, they played the championship at Caldwell. Is that right?
I didn't announce during COVID.
Okay,
I took my 2 years off from COVID from you. Because of my wife, she's got terrible lungs. I was worried about her.
Right.
So I wasn't there.
So it's a great venue at Caldwell. I mean, I've done games there. It's a lot of fun. So the 1A tournament has a chance to be one of the more high-flying, fast-paced, high-scoring tournaments with all of these teams. So let's take a look at these teams, guys. And I'm going to give you a chance to pick your championship matchup and the winner. Josh, why don't we start with you?
I think that I'm going to go this is really a toss-up. I think I'm going to go with Water Springs. I think I'm going to stick with Titus Driver and that crew there. only losing 3 games this year, having the size of Titus, and not only the size, but they have another kid, Corbin Nelson. That's their leading scorer on the team, and if he can get going, Titus can just dominate. I think Water Springs would be really tough to stop.
Who are they going to play?
I think they would be playing Dietrich in the finals and winning.
From the whole family, Gary, we'll school you up on what a Rambler really is later this week, Gary.
Oh,
so just go up. Don't slap him like I told Victory Charter to do to Glenn.
I'm his
Don't no physical contact. But yeah, why don't you go up there and say hi? So
okay, they're gonna. I tell them to come up and talk to me. I really want to tell what they think a Rambler is. I just assumed it was a walker. I googled it. Siri's never wrong, is she?
I don't know. I have an Android. 43 kids, 4 state visits in a row. Go Ramblers. All right. Well, you made your picks. We talked about the teams. We talked about the players to watch. If you guys have anything else to add before we go.
You want me to make my pick?
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's one of the 3 teams, Dietrich, Water Springs, or Rockland. If Rockland wins, they'll sweep with the girls and be the 15th team in Idaho's history to do that. They did it back in 2002, by the way. But Rockland beat Dietrich by 20 points, so Dietrich's out. Water Springs beat Rockland twice, so they're out. I'm with Josh. The Warriors are going to win, and they're going to play Dietrich.
All right, so you both agree.
So look at that. The first semifinal is going to be big if Rockland and Water Springs meet.
Yeah, I think these games are going to be so close. I really do. Unless Water Springs can just dominate like they've done. The past couple of games have been really close for Rock Springs and then Dietrich if they get going. This is going to be such a good tournament.
All right, well, that's it. These are the broadcasters for your 1A state tournament. They'll be broadcasting live on IdahoSports.com, and that's what they're playing for. The champions.
That's what they're playing for, boys and girls.
That's real gold. That's absolute real gold.
It is real gold. Penny will probably cash it in after I'm dead.
I would. You're not going to be buried with it?
Well, I may be cremated. Will it just melt around me? And yeah, well, that's a good idea. I'll probably do that.
Just throw it in the urn with your ashes. Call it good. That's what I'd do. But all right, that's going to wrap it up for this. The 2025 Boys State Basketball Tournament Preview Show. We went through 6A through 1A. We're going to have them chopped up individually and online, hopefully tomorrow. So you don't have to go through everything just to watch what you want to watch. So check back to IdahoSports.com. On the YouTube channel is where those will be. So for everyone that participated tonight, I'm Paul Kingsbury. It's going to be a great weekend of boys basketball. Go to the games if you can. Support the teams. Have fun and just enjoy the game of high school basketball. If you can't, listen in. IdahoSports.com will have all 66 games live and free for you right there on IdahoSports.com. So good night, everybody. It's going to be fun. Get some rest. Save the pipes.
Go Pilgrims.
Go Pilgrims.